Shortly before the next FOMC meeting, which is scheduled for January 31st to February the 1st this year, Alan Greenspan, the former chair of the U.S. Fed Reserve, has commented that the U.S. economy likely won't avoid recession. He believes the Fed has been too slow to take measures to curb inflation. Historically, Alan Greenspan is known for his 1994 tightening program, which raised interest rates 7 times by 3% over 12 months to combat inflation. His efforts managed to bring the U.S. economy to a soft landing. This time, current Fed Chair Jerome Powell is also following the same playbook. However, in Greenspan's view, Powell's actions were taken too late. He believes that the temporary reduction in inflation does not mean that the economy is back on track and inflation will likely creep up again. With the Fed hiking rates at a comparable pace and amount as in 1994, why can't it repeat the same soft landing? First, back then, monetary policy worked with much longer lags than today. The financial market's role as a transmission mechanism was more limited. The Fed, therefore, felt that inflation had to be addressed proactively. That informed the decision to move interest rates up aggressively to get out in front of the problem. Second, in 1994, we were in the honeymoon phase of globalization. The North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, was adopted that year to increase the availability of imports and facilitate the development of cross-border production. The Berlin Wall had fallen in 1989, and Eastern Europe economies were opening their doors and their resources to global production. All these factors kept down the costs of goods. Globalization is currently in retreat, largely due to the policies of the United States. The trade war initiated by former President Donald Trump, along with unreasonable sanctions and the use of long-arm jurisdiction, have caused supply chain disruption, increased commodity prices, and significantly contributed to the current round of inflation. While tensions between the East and West and the conflict between Russia and Ukraine have also played a role. Finally, the demographics of the United States in 1994 were disinflationary. The productivity generated by the baby boomer generation alongside technological advancements was continuously boosted. Immigration to the U.S. was also high. Overall, the labor force grew at an average rate of more than 1% per year in the 1990s, and real productivity grew at an average rate of more than 2%. The combination of the two provided the potential for robust growth without inflation. Well, today, by contrast, the American labor force is smaller than it was prior to the pandemic. Birth rates have fallen, retirements have risen, and immigration has essentially been halted for more than 2 years. There are not enough workers available to keep wages and prices in check. In 1994, inflation threatened to rise but had not yet gotten out of control. Inflation expectations remained well anchored and were justified by the Fed's preemptive strikes. Jerome Powell might not be as lucky as his predecessor, Alan Greenspan, this time.